bridging the gap between two cultures that need to be bridged. Now, I want that for my baby. Don't you, Bill?
This is the grand plan.
What's up, YouTubians?
What's going on, YouTube?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Greetings.
However, whenever you're watching this, we appreciate you because you already know time is expensive.
Yes, thank you for tuning in.
And thank you for subscribing. But if you're here for the first time, this show is about everything and anything
Creative.
Anything that sparks your creativity in whatever medium you dabble in.
Yes, expressing your creative soul.
And welcome to another episode of Creativity
Unsheath.
I'm Oliver Sigua.
And I'm Nino.
And yes, we are brothers.
Yes, we are.
And this is the show where we feel
That you should never judge a book by its cover.
Nope, never.
Get to know one before you say something.
Yeah, definitely get to know someone before you say something. However, there are actors out there, so just go off the vibes.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, to express their soul more than their looks.
Yeah, more than exterior.
And while we're talking about this, and what we're looking in today is Faking the Funk.
What?
And why we're looking into this movie, not just because of Dante Bosco, but we feel this movie is the real West Side Story.
Yes.
This movie really talks about bridging cultures, you know,
Yeah,
bridging
sure.
two different cultures together and
Breaking that barrier.
right, and really get to know one another instead of just judging and relying on stereotypes and cliches.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Really getting to know the soul.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Bruce and Linda were going through, and people back in the 50s and 60s.
Yep. You know, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are many interracial couples, same-sex marriage, you know, whatever it may be. The heart wants what the heart wants.
Yes.
And this 1997 comedy film was written and directed by Tim Shea. And it stars Pam Grier, Ernie Hudson, and like we mentioned, Dante Bosco, Tone Loc, Margaret Cho,
John Witherspoon,
Tatiana Ali,
Tashina Arnold, Dwayne Martin.
you know, Above the Rim, with a small appearance by Bo Jackson. I mean,
man.
this
Shit, that's cool.
this movie was definitely a star-studded cast, and you know, definitely an underrated film.
Yes, for sure, I agree.
So in this movie, we open up in Atlanta. We're going to church, and you know, we're being introduced to Dante's character Julian and his mom Pam Grier.
Yes.
Dante is part of this choir, and it seems like his last performance, you know, with this choir, because they're gonna be moving to LA, right?
To the West Side.
West Side Story.
Hell yeah.
And you know how we mentioned that Bo Jackson makes an appearance, and he does make an appearance in this scene.
As a reverend,
As-
or a priest, or a pastor, if you will.
Yeah, and you already know, Bo knows.
Bo knows the Lord.
So in the scene, yeah, Pastor Jackson is just giving his speech and giving his last farewells to Dante and Pam Grier, and
Giving him this blessing.
right, and
Yes.
just because maybe that's the exact same church that Ernie Hudson, who's a pastor or reverend himself,
Right.
they probably did
The service there.
a service at the same church.
Right.
The story shifts into a flashback on how this mix-up came to be, as far as how Dante's character Julian ended up with a black family.
Right.
A mix-up at the adoption agency, to the point Pam Grier and Ernie Hudson's character, they end up with,
Julian.
because of their last name being Lee.
Nice.
Yeah, so with their last name being Lee, the mix-up to get a Chinese baby. At first, the agency was gonna take back the baby, but you know, Pam Grier had a warm heart and just accepted him anyways, and wanted to raise him as her own.
Yes.
However, Ernie Hudson was kind of hesitant just because how he was going to raise a Chinese baby in a black home.
Right.
And not having the proper cultural...
Accoutrements.
Yeah, whatever it may
Yeah.
be. But Pam Grier just looked at it the other way, as just loving the child and just raising it as her own. You know, like regardless, just loving the soul.
Right? It's like, how's the baby gonna know that he needs that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Exactly. It's just how you raise that seed.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And mind you, y'all, in this flashback, we get a narration by Dante himself, and he just mentioned a joke.
How the Chinese family reacted when they got the black baby.
Right.
That's probably part 2. Taking the punk part 2. Like, what? And that's where you get the last dragon.
Yeah. That will be a future episode, y'all.
Yeah.
But this flashback continues where we see that Ernie Hudson has finally accepted Julian into the family, and they're just living their happy lives as one. However, there was a surprise as far as Pam Grier's character Annabelle finally got her own baby, a true biological child named Perry, played by Rashawn Nall. And during this flashback, for Julian's character being raised by Reverend Joe, you would say he inherited, you know, his
stage presence.
Yeah.
And the way of talking to the people.
Yeah, just because of being a reverend, that Julian was able to, you know, add that to his life.
Yeah.
And you see him in class giving a speech, and just the way he's talking just has that, you know, black talk,
Yeah.
you know. But you just see, you know, the black students just looking surprised.
Yeah.
And, you know, not just black students, but all the students.
Right.
Just looking surprised that you have this Asian kid talking like such.
Right, and they think it's like, is this a joke or...
Are you copying Martin Luther King? Like,
yeah, which I thought the way he was talking sounded like MLK.
Yeah, and how cultural differences just has that impact on society just really confuses people as far as adoption and raising kids that's not your own. You know, like some people just don't have that understanding.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes down to racial differences.
Yeah.
And you know, he got in trouble for that. His teacher, you know, had to mention that to Reverend Joe, but, you know, it's like he understands where he's getting it from, but, you know, he said there's just a time and place to separate the two.
Preaching and listening.
Yeah. But it was funny at first, but then you just really understand, like, where Julian is coming from. As far as, like, a kid, like, you're trying to adapt.
It's almost like Carter in Paper Tigers.
Exactly. Like, you love
the Chinese, I'm saying, but he's like pure white, like trying to be Chinese.
Like, he loves the culture. He loves
it, yeah.
Right? And he's trying to find his place in it.
Yeah.
Right? And just adapt to his surroundings.
Yeah, how he was raised.
Flashback continues where Ernie Hudson's character, Reverend Joe, had a fatal heart attack.
Yeah.
And by his side was Julian, and Joe's final words was to watch over his mom and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to, you know, I guess you want to say teenage years of Julian, and, you know, he's grown up. And it's just them three, Julian, Perry, and Annabelle. They're moving from Atlanta to L.A. So now we have touched down in L.A., California. And we hit the black tops of the basketball courts, and you just see guys hooping.
Yeah.
And who do we see? Dwayne Martin. Continuing off from above the rim. Right? So he moved from New York to L.A.
Yeah, he got cut. He got traded after Georgetown.
And then so now we see Julian and Perry walking down towards the courts.
Yes.
Dwayne Martin looks like he needs to add 2 more players to the team in order, you know, to play this game. And they were just there, not expecting anything, but just hanging out by the courts and all.
Looking for a pickup game.
Right.
Yeah, and this whole time, like, Dwayne is, like, right out the gate.
You get the racial slurs, you get the bashings.
Yeah.
But, like, this whole time, Dante wasn't claiming anything. He wasn't, you know, in real life, Dante Bosco himself says that any character he plays is a Filipino character.
Yeah.
In this movie, he plays a Chinese character. However, you know, he's just who he is. But everyone on this court, they're like, dude, are you confused? Because, like, you keep talking like you're black, thinking that he's warped-minded, but he's just being himself because that's how he was raised. But Perry, you know, he's defending him, but at the same time, he needs to adapt to this new world of LA and California life. And it's like, how much longer can he defend his brother and the whole racial indifference?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in California.
Like Eminem, you know what I mean? Just being in Detroit, being a battle rapper, a white rapper at that. And just the way they see him, like a white Elvis of rap, you know what I mean?
And everyone's going to keep bringing up 8 Mile this, 8 Mile movie, Lose Yourself.
Right.
But everyone's keep forgetting about Jin. You know, 106 in Park.
There you go.
Those Friday night battle raps, like, he was killing it. And it just so happened it was at the same time of 8 Mile.
Yes.
if you were to look at those battle raps, they were just clowning on the stereotypes as the punchline, right?
Yep.
But then Jin was able to flip it on him straight up like a B-Rabbit would in 8 Mile.
Yeah.
So the game stops and the bashing continues, but you have Dante's character paying no mind and, you know, just trying to find peace and just wants to play ball.
Yeah.
You're just getting that debut flashbacks all over again.
Hell yeah.
You know?
From the backyard to the basketball court in the debut.
Right? And look, it's still in LA.
Yeah. Same day before his sister's party.
Right? He just changed his tank top.
Same moves, same shots.
Same form.
Same form, all Dante.
Right? As if like the creators of the debut wanted to pay homage to this.
Yeah.
Just the year difference. 97.
Oh yeah.
Faking the Funk was released. So like maybe a year.
Debut, they were shooting that.
Right.
Dante probably did debut right after this movie.
Yeah, dude. That's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Continuity.
Right.
Like an ode.
Yeah, it's definitely an ode. But then Julian spots Tatiana Ali's character.
Not Ashley Banks.
But she plays the character Karen. And, you know, they're all gawking at her and guys being guys.
Trying to compete for the girl.
Yeah, right. But, of course, you know, they're not walking the talk. However, Julian, he's going to show that he has the mouthpiece, that he has game, that he can do it.
Yeah, he has the confidence.
Right? And he walks over to her, and then you have all the dudes just hating on that.
Yeah,
you know?
like, nah, he ain't gonna get that. Oh, what these guys think he's crazy.
Right? So, lays the moves on Karen. You know, Karen seems confused just by the way his demeanor, the way he talks. It's like, she's surprised, but Julian continues to spit that game, and she wasn't gonna pay no mind and not give the time of day. Here is Dwayne Martin's character, Brandon, interfering with their moment.
And cock blocking.
Right.
Why you hating, player?
Right? And then he said a racial slur in front of her, and then she said, why you gotta go there?
Total turn off for her.
Right? You didn't have to go there. So she rewarded Julian with her number.
Nice.
You know, right in front of Brandon, and Brandon's confused, and it's like, what the hell did I just see here?
Right,
He's
right.
like, no, man, she's cool. You know, he had Brandon still hating.
Grab the number from Julian's hand, like, hey man, give my number back.
Give it back, man. But, you know, guys being guys. So, story continues where we are in front of Dante Bosco's new home. He's with his brother Perry, moving furniture.
Yeah, moving into the house.
Reminiscing over their dad, Joe.
Yeah, and his belongings.
Right? It's like, why he's so into his stuff. But, you know, Julian being the older brother and just knowing Joe a little longer.
Valued everything.
As a father.
Yeah,
You know?
like actually accepting Julian as his son.
Yep.
Just having that same respect. Yeah.
And then transition to that reminiscing over the number given to Julian by Karen. But Julian is a little hesitant because how beautiful Karen is.
Yeah.
But we'll see, you know, how the movie plays out.
I wonder how he got the number back from Brandon.
Yeah, for real. It's like knowing how much of a jerk he is. Like,
yeah.
And then within this scene, you see Tone Loke's character.
Tone Loke. Hell yeah. What's up, Tone?
He plays the character Frog, who is pretty much like this head honcho on this block.
Yeah.
He's
around the hood.
Right.
The hood.
Gang leader, whatever it may be. But he just owns this block. He's in this lowrider with his crew, and he stops in front of Julian's house and just stares at them.
Yeah, noticed a new family moved into town.
Right. Frog being curious, but, you know, paid no mind, and they just carried on, and so did the family.
Yeah.
You know.
Till next time.
Transitioning into a parallel plot where we get Margaret Cho's character.
Nice.
And then we see this foreign exchange program taking place, and Margaret Cho is amongst those other students being dropped off at their designated homes for the semester, forever how long this program lasts for. And as they're being dropped off, they're getting closer to the more ghetto spots.
Yeah.
And Margaret Cho and Kelly Hugh's character, Queenie, you know, they're acting scared. They're frightened of the neighborhood that they're in just because of the movies they've watched or the stereotypical information that they were given.
Yeah.
However, she does end up at her designated spot, but surprise, she ends up at the wrong house, you know, or the wrong family because of the mistaken identity, if you will, within her name.
We are hosting a Maryland lead from Canada. Not a May lead from China. I'm sorry? Yes, there's a Chinese woman here. There is. Well, it's funny, huh? Well, laugh your ass over here and pick her up. Be there Monday. Okay, fine. Monday? Monday be fine. Okay, be Monday then.
Come on, man. Let me show you to your room.
Bruce Lee, Spike Lee, Sarah Lee. Why is the Chinese people gotta pick the same damn last name? What about a simple name like Smith, Johnson, Jackson, Brown? That's a good name, Brown.
So this house that Margaret Cho's character, Mei Lee, she ends up at John Witherspoon's house.
Nice.
He plays the character Bill with her daughter Tracy, played by Tashina Arnold, and the mom Nell Carter. She plays Claire. So Mei Lee ends up at this house, and the family is just as confused because, again, you know, they're expecting someone not Chinese.
Yeah, yeah.
And similar to Pam Grier's character, Claire and Tracy are willing to take in Mei Lee and, you know, just foresee this foreign exchange student and
Show her their ways of living, how they
Yeah,
live out there.
yeah, maybe expanding both horizons.
Yeah, making her feel at home. Giving her a new experience,
Exactly.
if you will.
And they're going to be gaining that new experience as well.
Yeah,
I know.
for sure.
Something definitely out of the norm for everybody.
Yeah.
Similar situation for Dante's character, Julian, you know, as far as the adoption agency mix-up, you know,
Right,
in the beginning of the movie. So that whole parallel plot just playing out at the same time in this movie. You get the perspectives of both sides from the perspective of an actual full-bred Chinese person from China, you know,
Yeah,
compared to born in America and just raised through the American ways,
Yeah.
or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So that little mishap turns into maybe a sleepover, or maybe for however that program is going to last. But seems like Mei Lee is going to stay for the weekend.
Yeah.
Claire and Tracy seem happy about it,
Yeah.
and Tracy is willing to.
Like, lucky enough for Pops or Bill, like, he had a daughter that was willing to show her around.
And let alone that she has the enthusiasm
Yeah.
about it, like she
Yeah.
like really wants to. Like,
Yeah, that's cool, like, being a big sister.
yeah, right. She could have like totally denied it, and, you know. And,
As if Tashina's character was doing her own big sister program.
yeah,
You know, full circle.
yeah, for sure, for sure,
In a positive way, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
So then she takes her to the basketball court.
Right, or the park, you know, where she likes to hang out and enjoy the sun, you
Yeah.
know, and look at the latest eye candy, if you will,
Yeah, yeah,
right? But then here's Dwayne Martin's character, Brandon, noticing them on the sidelines and walks up to them,
Yeah.
introduces himself, and, you know, they meet each other, and Mei Lee gets to meet Dwayne Martin, where this is definitely a connecting moment where his character is definitely going to grow from this point on, I believe.
He's gonna have a self revelation,
Yeah.
epiphany.
Because, you know, after this little meetup, he goes back to his boys, and then his boys are
Giving him the third degree.
right now they're teasing him. He's
Yeah.
right trying to explain himself, but guys being guys,
They ain't having it.
right?
You know?
And but him, he say, "I'm gonna let my game speak for itself." Blah blah blah. You know, but it's definitely gonna be a learning moment for everybody. Story continues. We have Bill and Claire talking about their situation with Mei Lee, and he's still hesitant about this whole thing. But Claire just really sees it as a learning experience and
Yeah.
just bridging cultures, and you know, she just wants that for Tracy.
For sure.
Look, it would be like bridging the gap between two cultures that need to be bridged. Now, I want that for my baby. Don't you, Bill?
This is the grand plan.
And John Witherspoon's he's warming up to the idea. It's just gonna take a little time and patience,
Yeah.
and just kind of just shaking the funk that he's going through. You know what I mean? And opening it up to new things at this point.
Thankfully enough, Claire and Tracy are very open.
Exactly. Regardless of the mix-up,
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
This mix-up, you know, leads to Mei Lee screaming in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
Because-
due to sirens and
Right.
things she's not used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, Claire being that mother figure, really, she really played it well. Just,
Yeah.
you know, really consoling her, you
Comforting
know.
her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And John Witherspoon's character was just like, man, she's screaming about sirens. Imagine the earthquakes.
Yeah, man. Then he just got a big stare down from Claire.
Right, man.
All right. You take care of it then.
Now the story continues. We're on the first date between
Karen and Juliet.
Yep. And what's pretty cool for this little moment between these two actors, Dante Bosco and Tatiana Ali. They're rekindling their relationship, or their acting relationship, if you will.
That chemistry.
Exactly.
You know.
Referencing that episode where Dante Bosco was
actually his love interest in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Comment below if you guys know exactly. And right at the gate, we get Julian faking the funk.
Nice.
You know, he admitted that he had to take bus in order to get to this sushi restaurant.
Right.
And, you know, she was willing to pick him up, but, you know, he didn't mind taking the bus, whatever. But, you know, right at the gate, he's faking the funk as far as being, like, machoism. You know what I mean? Drinking the sake that was offered, or pretending that he knows Chinese just because he's labeled as Chinese in this movie.
Ironically, the sushi chef sees through his ruse. Laughing, like, your roots.
Yeah, going off of that conversation, as, you know, she still doesn't see him being raised by this black family. You know, she's just judging the cover at this point.
Right.
You know, she hasn't read any of his previous chapters.
Yeah.
So she's just taking this current chapter for what it is. Because he mentioned that he wanted to go to college and do Africa studies and study his roots, right? Yeah. But again, like him playing a Filipino character, he's not claiming that he's Chinese. But Karen, you know, seems like she's faking the funk herself as far as, you know, she's going to college, learning Japanese, and she doesn't partake in being part of the hood. You know, she's not all about that lifestyle, you know, because she drives a nice Lexus, you know, she's the lady in red in this scene, and, you know, she just has the high maintenance lifestyle.
The lavish lifestyle.
It seems, and, you know, she's just judging the book by its cover at this point because, you know, she's just assuming that Julian is this person, you know, but
seeing it for face value. And she doesn't know if he's just acting just maybe from hanging with black friends, but she doesn't know that he really has a black family.
She just thinks that he's that typical dude, but Julian, again, being a macho dude, you know, wants to impress her, and you know, he's just doing whatever it takes. No matter how many sake shots it will take, or exotic meals that he's going to have to eat, you know, he's going to make sure that this date is going to go his way.
Right.
So then, fast forward, we are getting to know who OG Frog is.
Played by Tom Loke.
Right? He's hanging out with Perry. You know, he's trying to convince Perry of the lifestyle that Froggy is living, and, you know, that he is a community activist. You know, that he's claiming himself as. But Perry's not falling for that. You know, because he threw out right there, you're dealing, right? Like, dealing what?
Do you see a poker table in front of me?
Right. But, you know, Tone Loke, of course, he's not going to put out his business like that. But again, he's trying to convince Perry that this lifestyle is for him. He's looking for more street soldiers, if you will.
For sure. To help run his operation, maybe.
Right? And then during this same scene, the date is over, and we see Julian getting dropped off.
Yeah, in a Lexus.
In that nice Lexus, getting dropped off by Karen. And again, you see that she's not all about the hood, because she seems scared that, oh, these guys, watch out. You know, she, you know,
very timid,
and just really cautious. However, Julian was like, oh, no, that's cool. They just smoking. They're chill. And then Karen feels like Julian's just really playing this fake persona of a black guy. You know what I mean? Just because of who he hangs out with. But she doesn't know that his brother Perry's over there, you know, in that same group. But again, she's just taking it for face value. And Julian took one too many sake shots, and, you know, he spat some game, and then he kissed her. But then he went for it, you know. But she wasn't feeling it at first, but
didn't deny him.
She feels like his head wasn't all the way there. You know? But he was still a gentleman, and the date ends, and they part ways for now. Then Julian walks over to Perry, and he finally gets introduced to OG Frog, right? And Julian, being drunk, was starting to clown on OG Frog and his crew, and
got a little liquid courage in him.
Yeah, dude. And luckily enough, before anything else was said, the mama bear came out. You know, Pam Grier's character, Annabelle Lee, comes out, and she said, I gave you guys a curfew. I gave you a certain time to come home, and there's nothing out here but trouble.
And she ain't scared of Frog.
No, she gave him the stare down. And, you know, when Mama Bear gives that look, you better listen to Mama, right?
Time to bounce.
Right? So Perry goes in, and Julian follows right along, but she smells that sake. And maybe it was from when he hurled, but but she smelled it.
OG Frog rolls out with his crew.
Like, yep, that's time to go. They part ways for now.
Yeah. Story continues where Bill, played by John Witherspoon, finally opens up to Mei Lee.
Yeah, Mei Lee's culture, because in the front lawn she's doing Tai Chi, right? With Bill, and he's accepting the ways, and he's throwing out Mandarin, you know? And she's surprised, like, oh, wow, that's so good Mandarin, like, how'd you learn? And he pulls out a book, and again, making that effort that he wants to bridge the cultures and
connect with her,
have a better understanding of Chinese culture. And granted, he wants to learn Mandarin. However, there's so many dialects out there.
There's a lot of dialects in Philippines.
There's not just Tagalog.
On top of slang in that language, so it's kind of like everything you don't know.
Yeah, a book can only teach you so much, but from there it's just trial and error after that.
Yeah.
The story continues where Mei Lee finally gets to meet Julian.
Yeah.
Right? They finally meet, and it's good for her that she gets to meet a fellow Chinese man, or a Chinese person in the neighborhood, if you will. But for Julian, he doesn't claim to be Chinese. He said he thinks he's Chinese, right? But his mom never told him. Right, even though he's been adopted and whatnot, he just never claimed that he's Chinese. So,
and for Mei Lee, like, Julian wasn't a familiar form of Asian or Chinese that she's used to.
Because, like, she's like, what are you, Chinese, Japanese?
Yeah.
Right? Just because of the complexion and maybe the eyes, right? However, he says, no, I'm black.
Yeah.
But, you know, that could also go for being a Filipino, because of how dark Filipinos can be.
Yeah.
And how there were black soldiers in the Philippines during World War II. So, you know, it's just that whole bridging the gap thing all over again, just on a different part of the world.
For sure.
So this little moment continues where Julian wants to learn more Chinese, right? Because he faked the funk that he told Karen that he knows Chinese, right? Because it's based off their first date, and he asked Mei Lee if she has a book or a translation book that he can learn off of because of their upcoming date.
Date number 2
at a Chinese restaurant, so he wants to make sure that he's top notch on his
Chinese A game.
Right, exactly. So she borrowed Bill's copy that he was studying Mandarin off of, and then it cuts to Perry helping Julian learn Mandarin.
Yeah.
So he's giving him phrases, and Julian's trying to say him back in Mandarin, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
And Perry himself, like, quit all this lying game and just tell her straight up, but really going the distance of
trying to win this trophy girl, if you will.
Yeah. Dante Bosco playing this Chinese character, and he's saying these phrases and stuff, just really brings me back to that cartoon that he did, American Dragon, Jake Long.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Yeah. Because that voice, it feels like he brought that black voice, you know what I'm saying? That urban voice. Story continues. We got the two parallel worlds playing out at the same time. Julian is on his second date with Karen, and this time they're at a Chinese restaurant.
Nice.
And then Mei Lee, she's at a party with Tracy.
Yeah, she takes her to this little soiree.
The nightlife, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. Experience the nightlife in LA.
South Central. So, on the second date, Julian is faking the funk that he knows Mandarin. Right? Trying to talk to the waiter, played by Ron Yuan. Shout out.
From Pippa Tiger.
And then on this date, Karen and Julian, they have their moment as far as getting to know each other a little bit more, and
Julian, like, where he's coming from.
Yeah, his life, his past life.
How he lost his dad.
But not really saying that he came from a black family.
Right.
Yeah, he still has yet to mention this to her. And then it seems like Ron's character, Walter, seems like he's faking the funk himself, just talking black, and, you know, pretty much take Julian's date, man. Right? Talking game, and of course she's not having it. He's just coming on a little too strong, and, you know, Julian's trying to talk Mandarin, but his Mandarin's really choppy, and it's like it's not right sentences, and
Walter knows that it's fake.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah, what? You know, but, you know, he's still trying to hit up on her.
Yeah.
But they're trying to order their food, and he's like, okay, I'll get you your food, right? So they go off, and he gets the food, right? But it's not the right food.
Right.
It's like some chicken dick soup or whatever it may be, but, you know, that's like...
What did she pull out? A chicken foot?
I think it was a chicken penis or something.
Oh.
Yeah, or something. But
Julian confronts him like, "Hey, man, what is this?"
Yeah, but then Walter was like, "Man, you gotta come up a little stronger, man. You gotta woo her this way.
You gotta finesse her, man."
Right?
Yeah.
Just really talking black and just really speaking game, but Julian's not having it. You know, he wants real food so he can carry on with the date.
Yes.
But that moment gets taken to the back of the kitchen where they fight. You know, they fight for
the right order
and just settling the differences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you know, you just see them one by one coming out injured and limping and whatnot.
Glasses crooked. Yeah.
Right, but Julian's the only one okay. Obviously, he had his way, and they come out with the right food.
Right.
The story continues on the parallel plot where Mei Lee is at this party. You know, she's trying to learn the G-funk sound.
Yeah.
And just so happened at this same party, you have Dwayne Martin's character, Brandon. He sees Mei Lee drinking way too many 40s.
Yeah.
But what's funky about that situation is that he noticed that she's with a sketchy dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, this dude was about to take advantage, but Brandon saved her. Brandon, you know, gave...
Like a white lie.
Yeah, give a white lie just so the dude can get away from her.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And luckily enough, he did. And the night carried on. They end up, you know, walking off the liquor. Brandon really took care of her, taking her home.
Sat on the curb, got
Right.
to know each other.
Right? We got to know the real Brandon.
Yeah.
Right? That he wanted to be a podiatrist. Nothing panned out, but got him to think.
Yeah.
You know, just being with Mei Lee just really opened up his mind a little bit more and just to kind of see more of reality.
A fraud can't leap on the lily pad in front of him while looking at the one in the back of him. Hey, were you just telling me a Chinese secret?
She did spread some wisdom as far as just being present, kind of like just having that analogy.
Exactly.
Right? It's like just keep going, just being present.
That leap of faith.
Yep. And then while Mei Lee is with Brandon, Tracy is worried. She couldn't find her. You know, she lost her at the party. She rushed home and, you know, made a police report, but the police couldn't do much. So her and
Her parents.
end up trying to go find her. But, you know, luckily enough, Mei Lee came back at the same time and, you know, everyone was safe. And
she was able to take care of herself.
She had good company with Brandon, out of all people.
Yes,
you know,
of course.
The one person who was having the most racial
tension.
Right.
Yeah.
The story continues on the parallel plot where on this second date it ends. You know, Julian gets dropped off. Karen and Julian, they have their moment. They kind of continue that conversation as far as
Julian, I like you for who you are. That other stuff doesn't matter.
What other stuff?
The acting black stuff.
I told you, Karen, I'm not acting. You said you like me for who I am. This is who I am.
Look, if you're not going to be real with me, then I don't think we should be seeing each other.
Oh, I didn't know we were seeing each other.
I'm serious.
and then Julian's trying to explain his black experience.
I'm proud to be black. And I'm more black, baby, than you'll ever be.
Even Julian called her out, like, are you in touch with your roots?
And she found that offensive because although she's learning other cultures, she's not in tune with her own culture,
right.
Her own black culture.
It's as if like she's scared of her own people.
Yeah.
You're saying because I want to learn about other cultures, I'm somehow being untrue to my own?
This is who I am, Karen. And I don't speak Chinese for your information.
Oh, that's a revelation.
Look, either accept me for who I am or don't.
Okay. You say you're black. Can I ask why?
He accepts himself for who he is.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to always keep mentioning, oh, I'm black, I'm black. Like, I know who I am. That's why she doesn't get it. Because she's not getting all of it, you know?
Everyone's just confused.
Or closed off from each other.
Yep.
They don't want to accept their side of the story.
Mm-hmm. Story continues. Bill is more open to Mei Lee's culture, right? He wants to learn Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
And to the point where the whole neighborhood is curious, but they don't know. And, you know, Bill he's encouraging his neighbors to do it because how beneficial Tai Chi is.
Yes.
And he wants to learn, and, you know, she teaches him.
Nice.
Right. And then cuts to Julian confronting OG Frog and his crew because he sees Perry rolling with them and he's trying to get away from them to go play ball instead. But Perry's just too sucked into that lifestyle that he rolled away in a lowrider. But Julian just really concerned at this point, just because of their reputation.
And the road that he might go down.
Yeah.
Not gonna look good.
Nope, not at all. Cuts to
the same day
at the basketball court, you know. Julian ends up there anyways looking for a pickup game, and then he sees Brandon playing ball because that's what he does, right? Every day, right? Trying to relive his college days, if you will. and then Julian's sitting next to another baller, and and then gets the 411 on Brandon, and finds out that he didn't go to Georgetown. He ended up going to Southwest, but his scholarship got taken away when it was learned that he was taking money from his agent, and just ruined his opportunity.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know what that is as far as NCAA rules, but I guess just, you're not supposed to be taking such luxury gifts, if you will. But yeah, that ruined his scholarship, ruined his chances of getting a degree in podiatry.
Yeah.
Right, the same conversation he had with Mei Lee.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of Mei Lee, she gets confronted by the coordinator for an exchange program because she found the problem. There was the mistake. She found the real family that she was supposed to be with. And mind you, y'all, this foreign exchange student coordinator is being played by Rob Schneider's mom, Miss Pilar Snyder.
Hello, Tita.
Shout out to them.
Nice.
It's just pretty cool that we get to see her in this film. And noticing her in all of Rob Schneider's films or anything that he's in, he just finds a way to sneak her in as a cast member.
Man, one more Filipino. It's a Filipino movie.
Talk about a diverse movie, huh?
Yeah.
However, Bill and Claire and Tracy, they're so
warmed up to them,
right? To the point that they want to learn more.
Yeah.
They wouldn't allow her to leave.
Yeah.
Even Mei Lee. Mei Lee herself didn't want to leave. She really grew to love them as well.
Yeah.
Right. She was really part of the family.
Yeah.
Bill shooed them away in Mandarin. Right. Both Claire and Mei Lee were surprised that he was speaking Mandarin.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? I've been reading the book."
Chapter 7.
Story continues. Julian's mom, Annabelle, feels that Perry might be in some trouble because she finds drugs and some other paraphernalia, if you will, in his room, and she just feels like that Perry's up to no good.
Julian shows up at the right time and knows where Perry is, or
comes to find out he is where he is, right? He's hanging out with OG Frog and the crew on the porch, and Julian's just frustrated, He's like, "Mom is scared, you should be home. She's worried about you, bro."
Yeah. Being the older brother.
Right? But it looked like a scuffle's about to go down because of how aggressive Julian is acting, but Perry didn't want that to go down, he calmed the situation down, and what helped the most was a police car rolling up and really putting that confrontation to halt, and they part ways, and it led to the point where they had their brother moment, walking back home, and Perry is frustrated just because of how Julian's acting, just because he's Asian, that he's acting black, and that Perry has to defend him all the time. But Julian doesn't see it that way. He's just being him, and just because he was raised by their father, Joe, and it's like, but Perry keeps like, "Wow, you keep bringing up dad. Dad is dead, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, but Julian's really defending his father because of an example he set.
Yeah, for sure.
As that moment was happening, Perry got a heart attack, or just same heart condition that their father, Joe, had, which caused his death.
Yeah.
Story continues. And since Bill was so in tune with Tai Chi and Mei Lee's culture, he did end up getting the whole neighborhood into it.
To follow and doing Tai Chi.
Right?
Nice.
As this was happening, you have Brandon talking to his homeboys again about the theory of who Julian is. And they're just talking about how he was raised by a black family, that he's pretending to be Chinese and all that. And then Brandon disregarded all of that, man. He's like, "Man, just forget all about that, man. Just accept people for who they are." Right? Like, Brandon's finally getting that realization for himself, and that LA is a diverse city.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's people of all walks of life, and you just gotta accept them for who they are, and just instead of just judging by the cover.
Yeah, and like standing up for Julian, he feels like he owned up to what he said to him earlier in the movie.
Yeah. So story continues. Now we're in the hospital. Annabelle is just getting the results, and it comes to find out there's the same disease that Father Joe had, and now they're just worried about the bills at this point because she doesn't know how they're gonna pay it, especially with this new job that she got. They can only imagine the bill, and that puts Julian in a predicament. Right, because he has to help his family honor that promise he made to Joe.
Yeah.
Right, and then the story continues. It seems like Mei Lee she either has to go back to the real family that she got assigned to, or she has to go back home. But it just seems like she just has to go back to China and maybe redo this program some other time. But she has a moment with Bill. They really accepted her as a daughter and tells her that, you know, you have a home here every time you want to visit.
Hell yeah.
Mei Li told her the same. Like, anytime you go to China, I take care of you.
Nice exchange.
For real. That relationship development.
Yeah,
You know,
for
between
sure.
two cultures.
Yeah, man. Bridging the gap.
So now the story continues where that predicament is weighing down on Julian and his mom Annabelle. They have to make a decision as far as, you know, what they're going to do about Perry and them obviously missing Joe.
Yeah.
You know, and the cards get dealt to the point where Julian gets offered by OG Frog,
Yeah.
you know, to run the streets and, you know, to deal for him, if you will. But Julian already knows what that leads to, and he doesn't know if he really wants that. But knowing how much money they need,
Yeah.
OG Frog gave him a loan up front.
Yeah, 10 G's.
Right?
Yeah.
But he really knows what that comes with, and he just really has to make that choice.
He actually apologized for what happened to Perry.
Yeah, dude. And, you know, yeah, you can say that's a grown man's move or a mature move, whatever have you, but to give that offer after the fact, that's really snake-like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, story continues. Mei Li is on her way to the airport, but she spots Brandon, his lowrider, and she's just giving her goodbyes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, however, you know, it leads to them leaving off.
Almost like a summer fling.
Yeah, exactly. And they just want to see where this takes them before she leaves.
Yeah.
So they go off and to hang out a little longer. Story continues. We're back at the hospital. Julian is having his moment with Perry.
Yeah.
You know, Perry's feeling guilty for putting the family into this predicament. However, Julian is being that big brother and just bringing up their father Joe once again.
Yeah.
Just for what he stands for, and that God is in their favor. You know, you just gotta have that faith and
Stick together. Yeah.
right, they're gonna get out that situation. Story continues. We're on the b-ball court. On the blacktop, Brandon, he's winning his game, and he won the loot because up to this point he had bad luck as far as previous games, losing against the exact same team. But then as he was collecting his prize money, comes to find out that this team was forced to lose on purpose in favor of Julian pulling in the word for him.
Oh, wow.
You know, as far as telling OG Frog, you know, I'll work for you in favor of, you know, letting your boys lose against,
Brandon and his team.
right?
That exchange. Wow.
Yeah. So that surprises Brandon, and, you know, he finds out that Julian is at the hospital, and, you know, he thanks him for that gesture, and they have their moment as far as Brandon feeling Julian's pain, because he lost his brother in a gun accident. So, you know, they just have their moment, they make their peace, no racial slurs or anything. Brandon accepts him for who he is,
Now they're homies, homeboys.
right? And invites him to a party.
Yeah.
However, he forgets that he has a job to do for OG Frog.
For 10 G's.
Yeah. Back at the hospital, Brandon forgets something. He forgets to leave something for Julian, and then he asks the front desk where Julian's brother is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once he arrives to the room, he gets that revelation.
Yeah.
He gets that shattering glass moment where he finds out that Julian is truly an adopted brother.
Yeah.
But to Perry, he's still just his brother. You know,
Yeah.
he doesn't care if adopted, yellow, white, no matter. He's just his brother.
Yep. Yep.
Then Brandon finds out that Dante Bosco's in trouble because Perry tells him that Julian left 10 G's at the front desk at the hospital paying off the bills for Perry.
Yeah.
And then right off the bat, that strikes the clue for Brandon of where that 10 G's came from. And this leads to OG Frog's spot.
Yep. Back at his head.
Yeah, because Julian was about to work the streets for him.
For that 10K exchange.
Right? Pay back the debt.
Yeah, the hospital bill.
Right? However, here comes Brandon, his crew, Mei Li, and Tracy.
Nice.
Right? They're all there to save Julian, and they offer OG Frog.
Bet.
You know, as far as the resolution of a simple basketball
Yeah,
game.
a different kind of shootout.
Right?
Hoops.
Basketball.
Sure, game of life.
Yes, yes.
Because, of course, that's Dwayne's strong point. Hoops.
Above the rim, y'all.
Nice.
We did an episode on that.
Link below.
And speaking of this whole revelation, Karen, you know, she finally gets that shocking revelation herself as far as going to Julian's house and comes to find out who opens the door was Julian's mom, right? And Karen finally gets the full understanding of why Julian acts the way he is.
Yep. Yep. And he was not lying.
Right, right.
You know, she just feels
dumb and
low.
Right? You know, she has a conversation with Julian's mom and she gets the full backstory and that whole moment.
Yeah.
However, that moment gets interrupted by a phone call. Perry is not at the hospital. You know, the doctor calls and tells Annabelle that Perry is not in the room.
Nowhere to be found.
And then she and Karen, they rush off to the hospital.
Yeah.
The story continues. We're at the basketball game. It's a game of life. Brandon, Julian, one of Brandon's boys are on the team. They're playing for the 10 G's that Julian supposedly owes OG Frog.
Or paying for the hospital bill for Perry. And where did Perry end up?
He's at this game, you know, for moral support and just being that brother.
And I thought he was going to play.
Yeah.
Like that, he would have been over.
Yeah, with that heart condition, man.
Yeah.
But lucky enough, he was just there to cheer Julian on.
Nice.
However, during this game, Julian was getting punked.
Yeah.
You know, just being that small Asian kid on the court.
Yeah.
You know, dudes were just punking him. And his jump shot wasn't hitting. They were letting him shoot because if it wasn't hitting, there's no point.
Yeah.
Right? No point of guarding you. So if that wasn't to work, he had to drive to the hoop in order to score. And, you know, he's doing his thing. You know, he's playing his game. What
Yeah.
Filipinos do. They play the fundamentals. And here is more moral support. You know, their mom shows up with Karen.
I'm glad that they found Perry there.
Yeah, definitely that he's safe and sound, that, you know, still alive.
Yeah.
The cheer section is there. You have Annabelle, you have
Karen,
Tracy, and Mei Lee. You know, they're all there cheering them on. As that's happening, Julian's still getting punked. They're still not guarding him as far as hitting that jumper. However, the basketball gods want him to win.
Yes.
You know, because they were letting him shoot and finally hit that three and
Called it.
He called game.
Nice.
Right? No longer in debt to OG Frog, and they just part ways. Everything is just somewhat back to normal.
And it's cool, like OG Frog owned up to the deal. He wasn't butthurt and try to petty whatever.
Right, and it's like as if like 10 G's is really nothing to him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Cool on OG Frog.
Right. Fast forward, it's going to be a happy ending to the point where Julian gets a surprise visit by Karen, and who opens the door is of course Julian's mom.
Nice.
And tells Julian, I'll be back real soon.
Real soon. So he's probably a quick pumper.
Oh man. But
He's gonna make you up. He's gonna show the barrel man. He's gonna show Karen the barrel man. If y'all know what that means,
Right.
link below.
definitely a happy ending, y'all. You know,
For Julian.
Right.
Happy ending for Julian.
right? Gets that third date, maybe even more. Definitely
Maybe even more. Yeah. And it seems that Mei Lee stayed in LA.
Yeah, right, because she's here riding that lowrider, giving directions, same way how she was in the beginning.
Nice.
And I feel like that person she's giving directions to might be the director, Tim Shea. I mean, just because how every director always finds a way to make an appearance in their movies, you know?
Right. I don't want to sound cliche. You know, Tim Shea spelled Chey, right? And he's Asian. Yeah. And then this whole movie, Fakin' the Funk, it has that yin and yang. No matter what culture, no matter what race, it's just that interrelationship,
Yes.
you know, the coexisting. Two things of the same coin, you know?
Of course. This movie was definitely ahead of the time, and this movie still can be relevant today. Granted, slurs and, you know, the yo mama jokes, but there's still people out there who act like this.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
people who are going to be who they are, personalities are going to be shaped however they are. You know, environments are going to be what they are.
Yeah.
You know, every seed is going to grow depending on how that seed gets nurtured, right?
Yeah. But surprisingly enough, you go to any country, any part of the world, everyone has the same thing.
Yeah, dude. There's still bullying. There's still segregation in a way.
Yeah.
You know,
There's high class, low class.
right?
Same superstitions, different names, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's the same.
We just happen to be.
Labeled different.
We're all from different parts of the world.
Exactly.
You know, all walks of life, but still bleed the same color.
Yeah. Breathe the same air.
Right? And we were all bred together. If you really
Yeah.
think about it, as
For
far
sure.
as, you know, the slave trades and
Colonizing,
yeah, dude. It's like, again, to mention that there were black soldiers in the Philippines during World War
Yeah,
II.
for sure.
The wars before that.
Yeah.
And
Good example, Apple Diabs.
Black Eyed Peas, dude. He's half Filipino, half black, or how you want to
That
look
was
at
in
it.
the army. He'd just be stationed in the Philippines.
Yeah, army rat.
Then he went off.
So that was Fakin' the Funk.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
I definitely resonated with this movie as far as my experience with different cultures and just trying to adapt. And you know, again, I wouldn't change anything just because of the experiences I've gained and learning about coexistence.
Yeah, you know, I feel like there's a really thin line between trying to act and trying to be a part of. You know what I mean?
I feel that for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like really thin line.
Right? Like, no matter the common interests or hobbies that, you know,
Yeah.
people are into, and if people still don't want to hang out with you because of whatever,
Yeah.
or however you look,
Yeah.
you know, whatever cover they see, you know, it seems like people like to judge that right away.
Yeah. These days, social media, it's like who's authentic these days. Everyone's trying to fake it till they make it. You know what I mean?
Especially with the filters,
That totally faking the funk.
right? Even Bruce Lee talks about authenticity.
Yeah.
And
Self-realization, you know what I mean?
like, how would Bruce Lee take on social media? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe definitely the way Shannon's handling it, you know, just being his PR, you know, public relations.
Maybe.
Like, I don't want my Baba to go through all the stress of social media or whatever, so I'll just take care of it.
Right.
Maybe you see, like, behind the scenes home pictures of Bruce throwing up the peace sign and like, hello, like,
Right. And yeah, especially like how Bruce, when he came to the States, he ended up in Oakland.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
hanging out with Jesse Glover and just
yeah,
hanging out with, of course, other black people
yeah, there you
and
go.
adapting.
Yeah.
You know, how he states in all of his sayings or writings, you know, just adapting to the martial art way,
Yeah.
you know, whatever it may be.
Whatever situation.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, again, it's like that whole cultural indifference and stereotype. It's like you have to get society to think differently about it, you know?
Be okay with it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
commercialism, you know,
Yeah.
whatever you want, but it's like there has to be a better way to,
Integrate everyone and
Yeah.
be, coexist.
right?
You know?
Not just have a month or a day. It should be every day.
Every day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're willing to eat other cultures' food any given day, why not just integrate right away, you know?
Yeah, have them be part of your life, and it's like, especially growing up in a city like San Francisco, there's so much cultural diversity here. You know, you have Chinese community, black community, Italians,
Hell yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
Latin community. You know, we're all just trying to find ways to coexist, and
Like why I say like a thin line between being a part of and acting and trying, it's like just having that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then to where they take it a little too far, you know? And it's like they just look at you as a poser.
Right.
Or like, oh, this guy's a phony, you know what I mean? And I can't take him seriously.
like when Dante's character in this movie, when he was being called the N-word and being called Chinaman, he was denying all of those. Like right there, you see that he's not claiming anything. You know, he's just claiming to be a human being, just in the vessel that he is in.
Yeah, and living by his father's words, his preaching, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Being that balance, like,
Having that faith in
Yeah.
God and having that sense of coexistence.
yeah, like you don't always have to fight. Like, again, that's what was passed down to him, and he brought that with him.
Yeah. If we're gonna rate this movie, honestly, I would have to give this at a 3 out of 5. I felt the story was a little choppy after the second act, as far as how everything tied together, leading up to the basketball game, and then how it connects to OG Frog and all of that. And the comedy was there. It was cool to see all of these actors, especially seeing a Filipino actor lead, being Dante Bosco, and sharing the screen time with Tatiana Ali, seeing John Witherspoon being a classic Witherspoon,
Yeah, classic spoon.
seeing Margaret Cho, you know, one of the original Asian stand-up comedians, to be in a feature film.
Yes.
Yeah, Margaret Cho played a stereotype. However, you know, that's what the role called for, but she didn't play that all the way. You know what I mean? Like, she knew how to character develop as an actress. You know,
Yeah.
as
Went
far
to
as
switch it up. Yeah,
you know what I mean. She knew how to grow the character.
Yeah.
Hence the ending. You know, she was rolling in the low rider.
Yeah.
Right, maybe just because she has a black boyfriend now, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that whole thing. I felt the direction was cool. As far as like compositions and perspectives, I felt like had that independent feel. I don't.
Total.
Yeah.
Almost like above the rim.
Yeah, they probably about the same quality of storytelling, but I still enjoyed this film. It tugged on heartstrings. There's a lot of relatability for me as far as living it, interacting with people who are like these characters.
Oh yeah.
It was a real slice of life for me, and it truly felt like the real West Side Story, you know, as far as like culture, society, barriers, and and
Romeo and Juliet.
yeah, like just the restrictions on interracial relationships and stuff like that. So this movie was definitely good. You know, I felt like if it didn't have his choppiness,
a lot of back and forth between Margaret's character and Julian.
it was cool, you know, having those two parallel worlds play out.
And they actually connect.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was the good part. They actually connected.
Yeah, it felt rushed after the second act. You know, as far as just the resolution to this whole story.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it had to resort to a simple basketball game.
Honestly, like, all of this could have played out without having Frog really in the picture like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Perry and Julian could have just been playing ball, get caught up in some gambling, and then you see Frog.
Yeah.
And like Perry didn't have to be with Frog. And then the whole heart thing with Perry, that could have just happened on the court, you know?
Yeah. Probably still have confrontation as far as the whole interracial conflict, you know what I mean? The whole brother moment that they had.
Yeah.
But, you know, overall, I still enjoyed this movie. It'll definitely be on the rewatch for me. It's a 3 out of 5 for me. You know, I still recommend it.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
I still recommend it.
4 for me. I just didn't like the cliche, but it was funny jokes. But other than that, it was cool. The stories are cool. You can relate to it. You know, the jokes and the ball busting and not being accepted and trying to be accepted.
Yeah.
And thankfully enough, you know, like, I was able to date a black girl, so it was like...
Me too.
Yeah, right, and we weren't, like, made fun of like that, or like, oh, look at this Filipino trying to get it with a black girl, you know what I mean? It's like, it was well accepted, thankfully enough. So it's like you said, going to these schools gave us a better experience.
Yeah.
It's like we weren't closed off from that. We were able to, you know, analyze from different angles.
Definitely.
Experience other race, other people.
Right.
You know?
That coexistence, right?
Yeah. And then the final resolution, basketball game. I just imagine with the cast. Imagine if this was on Disney Family. Right? But it's cool. I'm glad it didn't resort to someone getting hurt or...
Extreme violence.
Extreme violence.
Yeah. Like, during the time of other 90s movies where you get these kind of...
Because you mentioned Boys in the Hood.
Yeah. We did get a Boys in the Hood reference.
Yeah. So hoops is cool. It's like old-fashioned boxing. Put the gloves on. The messages were cool. Like, seeing all these star actors in this movie, it was great. Everyone played the character pretty good. Some parts were cliche, but like you said, if they had to play the character, but it's cool. Got to see Kelly Hu, Pilar Snyder. Great movie. Definitely on the rotation list.
Yep.
Always on the rewatch.
So yeah, y'all. Faking the Funk.
Faking the Funk.
Watch this movie if you haven't seen it. Check it out for yourself. See if you relate to it in any way. And if this was under your radar, hey, by all means, whatever bin you find it in, find a copy, VHS, DVD. Currently on YouTube. Check it out there. It's a little grainy. Maybe it's playing off of VHS.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out. However, if you can find a physical copy or DVD, you never know what's on the special features.
Yeah, never know.
A great cast.
Great cast.
Right. If you love black cinema, black comedy, you will know these actors.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Dante Bosco, The Debut, Hook, you already know. Dante
Yes.
Bosco all the way.
Margaret Cho, stand-up, great comedian. One of the up-and-comers in the 90s.
Yep. So yeah. Definitely check it out.
Yeah, check it out. Faking the Funk.
And if you reach this part of the video, we highly appreciate you because we know time is expensive. However, we just like to appreciate you even more if you just like, subscribe, and just spread the word of what the brothers are doing here on Creativity Unchained.
Yeah.
We definitely got more movie reviews, comic reviews, music reviews, our own creations on the way. So definitely like, subscribe, and just join us on the journey.
All that good stuff.
Because now we like to end this episode with a motivational quote for y'all. But if you heard this before, by all means, just let this be a self-reflection of where we are today.
In the present. The quote is by Bruce Lee. Under the heavens, we are but one, right? It's just, we are just labeled different.
Definitely.
I mean, paraphrasing, but that's that, you know?
Yeah. Again, we just all bleed the same color.
Yes.
So yeah, y'all. Let Bruce Lee's quote, let his saying, if that was his saying, let all of that be a self-reflection of where we are today, how we all can evolve as human beings, how we can make that next new friend or
companion,
right? Don't close yourself off to new things.
Yes.
But definitely feel out the vibe and, you know, have that intuition unlock.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there are a lot of actors out there.
It's all about intuition and energy, yeah.
Definitely. So...
you'll know. You'll know.
Because the universe knows.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? And the universe will put you on the path
Or
And
send you people.
people leave you for a reason, and people come into your life for a reason, and that's the universe doing its thing.
Yep.
Again, just stay in tune with the intuition, feel out the vibes, and just keep on going.
Keep on going.
Because it's that time we're going to say, stay creative, keep creating.
Stay independent. Have your own voice.
Do your best as a human being to stay motivated and to keep on going.
Yeah, kill the negativity and spread the positivity, y'all.
Till next time, y'all.
Till next time.
Peace.
Pieces.
Because anything I say is going to go straight to your brain instead of your heart. And it's from your heart, Karen. That you'll accept me.